You know, for the life of me, I can never understand the reason as to why people get on the internet and find the smallest things to complain about. I mean, why can't we just enjoy things for what they are? And yet another example is the reason as to why we as people cannot have nice things. And when I think about Netflix's Devil May Cry, that comes to mind because looking online, seeing the comments of people saying, I mean, it's an okay anime. It's not all that. It doesn't follow the games, and they had to use Rolling by Limp Biscuit as the opening theme. That doesn't make any sense. Well, hello, McFly, knocking on wood. Hello, McFly, which is a Back to the Future reference. Um, the very first Devil May Cry game came out in 2001. So why would it not have that early 2000s aesthetic to it? That makes a lot of sense. And of course, it makes sense for Rolling by Limp Biscuit to be the opening thing. But, anyways, let me digress. The soundtrack. Every episode is a song from the early 2000s, and I'm going, okay, it gives me that whole nostalgic feeling. I love it. Not complaining. I enjoy the franchise. I'm a big fan of it ever since, like I said, 2001, all the way up until 2025 or whenever they come up with Devil May Cry 6. No complaints there. The voice acting. We have Johnny Young Bosch voicing Dante. Now, for anyone who's ever played Devil May Cry 4 and 5, he voices Nero. Why they didn't get Ruben Langdon to come back as Dante, I don't know. I kind of wish they did, but I've been a huge fan of Johnny Young Bosch ever since his earlier days on Power Rangers, and also with him voicing Vash the Stampede and Trigun, and more famously, Ichigo from the Bleach manga and anime. And speaking of voice actors, I was very surprised that they got Kevin Conroy in this series. So that lets me know that all this stuff was done and produced like back in 2021 because keep in mind, Conroy passed away in 2022 at the age of 66, so RIP to Kevin Conroy. But the character that he voices, Vice President Bane, I didn't hear Vice President Bane. I just kept hearing Batman the whole time. That's just me. But overall, the voice acting is okay in my book. The cameos and Easter eggs. Now, this series lets me know one thing. Maybe they're planning some type of Capcom animated universe because they mentioned Raccoon City from the Resident Evil games. And I'm going, you're telling me that Dante, Virgil, exist in the same universe as, what's his name? Leon Kennedy, the G Corporation. No, not the G Corporation. Excuse me. I'm thinking Tekken. The Umbrella Corporation with the G virus, T virus, and all that stuff. We might see Claire and Chris Redfield make cameo appearances. Shit, I'm all for it. There's also a Mega Man bobblehead doll that's in one of these episodes, and I'm like, yep, they're definitely pushing the Capcom stuff here. But the one thing that I also noticed too is that the Darkcom soldiers who are in this series, they all wear uniforms that's inspired by the Captain Commando video game. And lo and behold, guess who makes a cameo appearance in this series? They don't outright call him Captain Commando, but you see him, and I'm like, yep, definitely Captain Commando right there. And there are also cameos from other characters from the Devil May Cry universe as well. Another thing I like, this is a different take on the DMC universe. Now, it's not canon with the video games, and I'm cool with that. I love it being its own thing. I mean, Dante, he's still a badass, but they don't make him so OP to the point to where he doesn't get captured, he doesn't get outsmarted, and, he doesn't, he doesn't have challenges. But they still keep Dante as the same rowdy, goofy, badass goofball that we all know and love, that loves his ice cream sundaes and loves his pizza. Mary. She is not as friendly as she is in the video games because her anime counterpart in this series just projected a lot of masculine energies, just dropping the F-bomb like every other episode. Like, okay, woman, calm down. We know what your dad did to your mom. We get the reason as to why you hate demons. And then you have the antagonist, White Rabbit. Ever heard of that saying called sympathy for the devil? Episode 6, you get into Mary, aka Lady, and White Rabbit's background stories. And I ain't gonna lie to you. Seeing how White Rabbit was done growing up, I mean, he was an orphan, placed in the foster care system. His foster family was bullying and abusing him, and he just happens to end up finding a portal to the demon realm, lives amongst the nicer demons that's there, the Makai as they call them. But then when he tries to help them out, they come to Earth and get slaughtered. So of course he has his own personal vendetta with Darkholm, and it makes a lot of sense. But the real villain here is Vice President Baines. And anytime you hear somebody always keep talking about God, be it in fiction and especially in real life, you know that they are a piece of shit and they got ulterior motives that is not going to work out well for anybody. Also, there's a political overtone in this. Now, keep in mind, I said this takes place in the early 2000s. You will see the Twin Towers in one of these episodes. And I'm like, oh snap, there's a Twin Towers. And then there's the invasion of hell itself at the end of episode 8. Okay? And I'm going, so the vice president and the president of the United States are invading hell and taking over? Gee, where does this sound familiar? Oh, that's right, Afghanistan and Iraq back in the early 2000s. Look at those parallels. And then, finally, another reason as to why I like this series, well, being the fact this is the first season because the way it ends, we're getting a season 2. How not to fail an open book test. This is further proof that you can take an already existing property and put your own twist on it. But at the same time, you keep the core elements that make something what it is. And as far as I'm concerned, Devil May Cry season 1, because like I said, there will be a season 2 on Netflix. It actually checks all the boxes for the brown body. Just my thoughts, just my opinion, and as always, just saying.